So for this function, f of x is equal to 4x plus 6, and we're asked to find the inverse of f. So what I am going to do, I am going to follow the steps that I have here on the screen. So step 1, change the f of x to y. And for step 2, I'm going to change the y to x and the x to y. And for step 3, make y the subject. And for the last step, I'm going to rewrite my answer with the f of inverse sign. So let us go ahead and begin. So if I am going to change my f of x to y, I am going to have y is equal to 4x plus 6. So where I would have the f of x, I now replace that with the letter y. For step 2, change all the y to x and x to y. So I am going to have x is equal to 4y plus 6. So after I'm finished with that, I am now going to make y the subject. So I will rewrite my function here. If I am going to make y the subject, this simply means that y is going to stand on its own and y will be by itself. So I have x is equal to 4y plus 6. I am going to go ahead and balance the 6 to the next side. So I'm going to have x negative 6 is equal to 4y. The 4 and the y, they are being multiplied. So to get the y by itself, I am going to divide by 4. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the next side. So when I cancel here, I am going to have y is equal to x minus 6 over 4. And it is the same thing as y is equal to x minus 6 over 4. For my last step, I am going to rewrite my answer using the f of inverse sign. So here I'm going to have it. It is equal to x minus 6 over 4. And voila, that's your answer. For our second question, the function of h is equal to 3x minus 2. And we need to go ahead and find the inverse of h. So we're going to start with step 1, change the f function to y. In this case, we're going to change the h of x function to y. So I'm going to have y is equal to 3x minus 2. So remember that the name of the function, it can be h, k, l, m, any letter in the alphabet. So don't be confused when you see something like that. The next step, change all the y to x and the x to y. So I'm going to have x is equal to 3y minus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this, and I am going to make y the subject. So here I have x plus 2 is equal to 3y, because remember that the 2, it was a negative, now it's a positive. And now we have x plus 2 equals to 3y. I am going to divide by 3 on both sides. So divide by 3, divide by 3, and now I'm going to cancel. And now I have y is equal to x plus 2 over 3. The way that this can be done, the same question, just to clarify for individuals. So let us say you want to have negative 3y is equal to negative 2, and this x would now become negative x. If this is what you're working with, based on the information that you have here, you would just go ahead and divide by negative 3, and you divide by negative 3 on both sides. So you would cancel, and here you would have y is equal to negative 2, negative x over negative 3. So if you go ahead and you do it like this, basically it would have been the same thing, because here we have our inverse, which would be negative 2, negative x, negative 3, in order for you to get your answer. So let us look to see if this would be correct. So say, for example, I make x, let me say x is called 5. So 5 plus 2 would be equal to 7 over 3. And if I say negative 2 minus, I have this as a positive 5, divided by negative 3, it would be negative 2, negative 5, which would be negative 7 over negative 3. And you and I know that when you divide by 2 negative, you get a positive. So just to show you that they are both the same thing, but it depends on how the individual approaches the question to make y the subject. So both of them, they are the same thing. So even though they have different sign, when you substitute a number into the function here, you would get the same thing. So moving on right along to the original question at hand, we are now going to rewrite our answer, and we are going to use the inverse sign to finalize our statement. So you have to ensure that you follow all the steps in order to get your full marks. So here it would be the inverse of h is equal to x plus 2 over 3. And again, we have completed another question. Our third question, you are doing so well if you have continued watching thus far. So we have x squared minus 4, and we're supposed to find the inverse of f. So step 1, we are going to say y is equal to x squared minus 4. And next step, we are going to interchange x for y and y for x. So now we have x is equal to y squared minus 4. We are going to rewrite that, and we are going to go ahead and make y the subject. All right. So here, because I want to ensure that my y is always positive, I'm just going to let it remain on the side that it is. So now I have x plus 4 is equal to y squared. I need to get rid of my square because it's not asking me to solve for y squared, it is asking me to solve for y. In order to get rid of square, I need to go ahead and find the square root of both sides. So when I find the square root of y, it's going to eliminate the square and find the square root on this side also. So here I'm going to have y is equal to the square root of x plus 4. And for my final section, the final answer, I am going to ensure that I rewrite my answer with the inverse sign, which is equal to the square root of x plus 4. So the opposite, say we have a number squared, the opposite of that would be the square root of x. So if we have the square root of a, the opposite of that would have been a square. So in order for us to eliminate a number that is being squared or a variable that is being squared, we need to find the square root. If we have the square root of a number, in order to get rid of that, we need to square both sides. Our next question is the function of k is equal to 2x minus 8 over 4, and we're supposed to find the inverse of k. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my k of x to y. So I'm going to have y is equal to 2x minus 8 divided by 4. And the next thing, I'm going to change all my y to x and all my x to y. So I'm going to have x is equal to 2y minus 8 divided by 4. I'm going to go over to step 3, and I'm going to make y the subject. So we have x is equal to 2y minus 8 divided by 4. So since the 2y minus 8 over 4, that is a fraction, I am just going to go ahead and change my x to a fraction also by putting that over 1. The next thing I'm going to do, I am going to cross multiply. So 1 times 2y is 2y. 1 times negative 8, that is negative 8. Put back my equal sign. And 4 times x, I am going to get 4x. Still keeping in mind, I need to make y the subject. So now I have 2y is equal to 4x positive 8. There's a 2 beside the y, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the next. Cancel, cancel. So now I have y is equal to 4x plus 8 divided by 2. And for the last step, my answer will be the inverse of k is equal to 4x plus 8 divided by 2. Once you follow these steps, you don't have any problem, right? You can practice by writing the steps step by step until you can do it from your head without writing the steps, but ensure that you follow the steps in order to get your full marks. This will be our last example for today. So we have f of x is equal to 2x plus 3, and then we have that over x minus 2. So we're going to change the f of x to y. So I have y is equal to 2x plus 3 divided by x minus 2. The next thing I'm going to do, I am going to change all the y to x and all the x to y. When you look at this question, you will realize that you see more than one x, so we're going to have more than one y. So 2y plus 3 and y minus 2. Very important that we change all the x to y and all the y to x. So now we're going to work our question, and we are asked to make y the subject. So because we're asked to make y the subject, we have to ensure that we transpose properly. So the next thing that we're going to do, we are going to put our x over 1 because we are working with fractions. So I'm just going to do the same thing by going ahead and cross multiply. So 1 times anything is the same. So 1 times 2y is 2y. 1 times positive 3 is positive 3. Now I have x times y, and that is xy, and x times negative 2, that is negative 2x. Because I want to make y the subject, I am now going to go ahead and group all my terms that has y, right? So now I have 2y negative xy is equal to negative 2x, negative 3. So I group all my y terms together. Because I have two y's, the only way for me to get just one y, I will have to just look at it and factor out the y. So when we factor, basically talking about factorization, I am going to factor the y outside. So I'm going to have my bracket here, put my y. So there's a number times y that is going to give me 2y, and that is positive 2. And there's something that I'm going to multiply this y with in order to get negative x. So that would be x, and I put my minus sign. Put my equal, negative 2x and negative 3. They cannot be calculated, so we just leave them as is. I want to make y the subject. I divide by 2 minus x. Whatever I do on one side, I am going to do on the next. So I cancel, cancel. So now my answer is y is equal to negative 2x minus 3 divided by 2 minus x. Final answer. I am just going to go ahead and write the inverse, which is equal to negative 2x minus 3 divided by 2 minus x. And that would be my answer if I am solving for this question.